Hey, what's up y'all, it's Charlie and I want to welcome you all to my Thanksgiving preparation video. This video features clips of me preparing over 15 items including measurements, cooking, and baking instructions. I've also included chapters so that way you won't watch the whole video. This is my fourth Thanksgiving preparation video. All the links to the preparation videos and the chapters are all in the top of the comment section and in the description box. So without further ado, let's get started, and I hope you all enjoy the video. Alright, let's get started with making a pie crust. So this pie crust recipe makes 2 pie shells. It could fit the deep dish pie pan or the regular standard one. So I'm making 2 at a time here. So in this large food processor, I'm going to add 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, 6 tablespoons of sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to pulse this maybe like 5 to 6 times just to get it incorporated. Okay, next I'm going to add 1 entire stick of unsalted butter. I cubed it and it's cold, of course. And this is 8 tablespoons of shortening, butter flavored vegetable shortening, and that is cold as well. I'm going to pulse this a few times, so once I'm finished, I'll just let y'all know to pulse how many times I pulsed it once I'm done. Let me check this out right here. Okay, that looks good. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Now I pulsed this about 10 times. Okay, I'll just take the flour mixture and just add it into this large bowl. Just very carefully. Alright, now here I have a 1/2 cup of cold water. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a little teaspoon. And I'm going to just take a teaspoon of the water out of there. And I'm going to replace that teaspoon of water with a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let me just give that a quick stir. Give it a little flavor, you know. And from there, this is a 1/2 cup of cold water with the vanilla extract in there. I'll just pour that in there. And I'm going to take my spoon and just stir all the ingredients together. I'm going to stir this until it starts to come together. And as the dough starts to come together, as you can see, here's a lot of big clumps in there. And from there, I'm going to take my hands, make sure your hands clean. And I'm just going to form this into a dough. Just bring it all together. And once the dough has been formed, you could just knead it a few times just to make sure everything is incorporated like that. Now that we have the dough formed, let's begin to cut this in half, and that way we could assemble our pie crust. Now, once you form the crust into a little circle, you just eyeball it, and you just take your knife, look on both sides just to make sure that everything is even. As evenly as possible, just take your knife and just carefully cut down. And we have our 2 halves. We got this one for the one pie crust, and this is for the second one. I'm just kind of form this into a ball. And there we go. We have our first 2 pie doughs ready to go. Alright, this is the second batch for the pie crust. So this makes 2 pie shells. And again, I'm going to add my flour, 2 2/3 cups of that, 6 tablespoons of sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Gonna pulse this maybe about 5-6 times. Alright, that's good right there. Okay, next I'm gonna add my cubed butter and my cubed butter flavored vegetable shortening. So that's 8 tablespoons each. That's 8 tablespoons of the unsalted butter and 8 tablespoons of the butter flavored vegetable shortening. And again, I'm just gonna pulse this about 10 times. Alright, let me check it and make sure everything is good. Hold on for just a second. Let me pulse this just a little bit more. Let's check now. Alright, that looks good. It's about 10 to 12 times. Sometimes they might have little clumps of butter. You might have to pulse it a little bit more. Alright, now here I have my 1/2 cup of cold water. Now remember that trick that I showed y'all with the vanilla or whatever. You substitute 1 teaspoon of the water with 1 teaspoon of vanilla added in there and give it a quick stir. And I'm just going to pour that right into the flour mixture. Take my spoon and just give this a quick stir. Same procedure, you know, you just stir it until the dough comes together. This is kind of hard to stir, oh my goodness. Now as you can see, the mixture is starting to come together now. See, it's starting to form those clumps again, you see? All right, I'm going to take my hands and just form this into a dough. As you can see here, they got a little piece of butter in there. I'm not worried about that. It's gonna melt. Take my knife, look at it. That looks about right. Just cut it right in half. I'm gonna just form this into a ball. And there we have it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our pie doughs ready to go. I'm going to lightly flour the surface of my table. I'm going to add the dough on top of the table, and from there I'm just going to press it down to form a flat circle. I'm going to sprinkle some more flour on top. And from there I'm just going to take my rolling pin and carefully roll this out. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now from there I'm going to start on this end, and I'm going to just take the dough and carefully roll it up onto the rolling pin. Make sure you pay attention. Actually, hold up for just a second. Just sprinkle just a little bit of dough on there just to have some reassurance to make sure it doesn't stick at all. And there we go. Another thing you got to do now is unroll it onto the pie pan. Just very carefully. Oop, that wasn't perfect, but hey, I got it in there. Just take my hand and just spread that around. Any excess that I see, I'm gonna just trim it off with kitchen scissors. You only want to have about 1 1/2 inches from here to here, maybe about 1 to 1 1/2 inches. So, and even in parts where they don't have any dough, you could just fill that in and go from there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll take small pieces of dough and just form the crust right here because they don't really have enough dough. And for the rest of the dough that's hanging out, you could just take that and just form the crust by just tucking it under like that. That's all you gotta do. Okay, next I'm going to crimp the pie crust. I'm trying to see how I'm gonna do this here. So I'm gonna push outward with my index and middle finger and push inward with my opposite index and middle finger. And push inwards with my opposite index finger. Now I'm going to go all around the pie with this. Okay, next I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to poke holes into the bottom portion of the pie crust. This is going to prevent the crust from bubbling up during the baking process. There we go, all done. Into the freezer it goes. Alright, for the next pie dough, again, just lightly flour the surface of my table. I already have some dough from when I already have some flour on my table from when I last rolled out my last piece of dough. Just gonna add my piece of dough on top. Press that down to form a flat circle. Add some more flour on top. Roll it on out with my rolling pin. Now how to tell if the dough is ready to be picked up. Okay, so you might see a slight translucent look in the dough. That lets you know that the dough is thin enough to where you can pick it up with the rolling pin. So again, same procedure. Carefully roll the dough onto the rolling pin. Put the flour on there, hold up. And from there, I'm just going to roll the dough into the pie pan. Just push that down in there. Trim off the excess with kitchen scissors. To make the edge of the pie crust, just roll the ends and just tuck them under just like that. Straighten it up, make sure it looks real nice. And next, again, same procedure as before. We're just gonna do the crimping of the pie crust, just like that, by pushing outwards with your index and middle finger and pushing inwards with your opposite index finger. And I want to let you all know this too, that when your pie crust is thin, because a lot of people always talk about how their pie crust, when they put the filling in the pie and they put it in the oven, your pie crust comes out too, it is undone. And I think one of the reasons why is because the pie crust was rolled out too thick. So a thin crust, when pie crust bakes, it actually increases in size. It actually rises just a little bit. So it's good to have it thin. Okay, you don't want it to be too thin, but just right. Just take my fork and just poke holes into the bottom portion of the pie crust, and into the freezer it goes. All right, let's get started with the third pie crust. Lightly flour the surface of my table. Add the dough on top, press it down to form a flat circle. Add some more flour on top. Roll it on out with my rolling pin. Add some more flour onto the surface right there. Now I'm going to take my rolling pin and roll the dough up onto the rolling pin and roll it off into my pie pan. Y'all, I'm so backwards this year. I'm doing it the wrong way. Oh, look at that. Oh, great. Just press it into the baking pan like that. All right, take my kitchen scissors and trim off the excess. And from there to form the crust, I just roll it and tuck it under. That's it. You see at this part, they have some parts where the crust might be too short. Just take a little piece and combine it like that. That's all you gotta do. Straighten that out, make sure that looks good. Make sure that the edge of the crust, everything is nice and even. Pushing outward with my index and middle finger and pushing inward with my opposite index finger. I'm going to poke holes into the crust with a fork. And there we go. All right, for the fourth pie crust, lightly flour the surface of my table. Add the dough on top of the table. Press it down with your hands to form a flat circle. Sprinkle some flour on top. Carefully roll it out using my rolling pin. Just gonna place my rolling pin onto the end and carefully roll the pie crust onto the rolling pin. Add a little bit more flour on there to make sure that that doesn't stick. All right, let's see if I can roll this off. Here we go. Yeah, I finally got it right. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So now I'm gonna just take my hand and place that into the baking pan. Now I just want to let y'all know that when you add the dough into the baking pan, make sure you lift up the edge of the crust so that way the air can escape. Because sometimes they might have trapped air underneath there, and just lift it up like that. Now I'm going to, let me see if I could get a better. I'm going to take some kitchen scissors and trim off the excess. All right, form the edge of the crust, just roll it and tuck it under just like that. Just make sure it's pretty nice and ready to go. Straighten it out, make sure it's good to go. All right, now I'm going to crimp the pie crust. Okay, take my fork and just poke holes into the crust. And there we have it. Our 4 pie shells are complete. Now I'm going to place this in my freezer, get them nice and frozen until we're ready to make the filling and add the filling in there and bake them. All right, y'all, and that is it for pie crust. I'm glad I only have 4 of them to do. I ain't got to do 20 like I normally would do. So anyways, yeah, I'm just glad to get this first deal. Today is what? I think today is Wednesday. Yeah, today is Wednesday. So I'm got a couple more days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got 7 more days to Thanksgiving. So it's looking pretty good right about now. So I was a little off, but I got it done. Yes. But anyways, that's it for pie crust day, and then I'll bake the pies at another time. I might do it this weekend. I'm not really sure, but gotta come up with my schedule of everything what I want to do and just go from there. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Actually, I gotta go to the grocery store again. Yeah, because I don't have everything. I went to the grocery store today. I'll go to the grocery store tomorrow and get just a few more things because I went to the grocery store today and I got almost everything. I was so good. So that's about it. See y'all tomorrow. Let's get straight to it. So I'm gonna get started by chopping up a couple yellow onions. And from there, I'm just gonna take my onion and place it into this medium-sized bowl. Next, I'm going to chop up my green onions. Now, I bunched about 3 of them together and I'm just chopping them. Because this is gonna be for the dressings. So, and from there, I'm just gonna take the green onions and place it into this small bowl here. Okay, next I'm gonna get started by rinsing off my celery. I'm gonna rinse off the outside first. And then from there, I'm gonna take each individual rib of celery and rinse it off with cold water. Like, you wanna make sure you inspect each rib of celery because celery tends to have dirt and insects on it. So you wanna make sure that you rinse all of that off. And then once done, you inspect the celery again to make sure there's no dirt or anything else on it. And next, I'm going to chop this entire stalk of celery. Now, I did use my food processor this time to chop up some of the celery because I don't want to be chopping up all the ribs of celery individually, so that saves some time. So I'm going to just add that into this medium-sized bowl here. Next, I'm going to rinse off my green bell peppers and my fresh parsley. Okay, you want to make sure that you remove the core out of the center of your bell pepper before you chop it. I'm going to chop 4 green bell peppers. And from there, I'm going to take the chopped green bell pepper and place it into this medium-sized bowl. Now this part I might add into my chicken stock later, so I'm going to set that on the side. Just chop this up. And next I'm going to take my freshly chopped parsley and place it into this small container here. Okay, now I'm just slicing my cloves of garlic in the slices for my roast. And I'm gonna need about 23 of these total. So, and from there, once I slice the garlic cloves in the slices, I place them in this little small container here. Now, as for the rest of the cloves of garlic, I'm gonna just take a garlic press and press the garlic. And from there, I'm going to take the pressed garlic and just add it into this small container here. And that is it for all of our seasonings. So over here, I have the chopped yellow onion, the chopped celery, the chopped green onion, the bell pepper, the chopped garlic, the garlic slices for the roast, and the chopped parsley. And into the refrigerator it goes. Alright, y'all, now I'm peeling the shrimp. I'm peeling 6 pounds of shrimp this year. This is going to make My seafood cornbread dressing. It's almost 12 o'clock, so I have to have this finished by 12 o'clock because today is Friday and it's video release day for the YouTube channel, so I have to have this finished before 12 so that way 1 o'clock I can be ready. So got a couple more minutes, I could just knock this out. And that way once I get finished, we can start the shrimp stock. And I'm also going to make a chicken stock too. The first chicken stock, I'm making 2 chicken stocks for my dressing. You got to hurry up and peel this because you don't want to leave it out for too long. As soon as you buy the shrimp from the grocery store, just like how I have it here, I just bought this from the grocery store. Make sure that you prepare it right away so that way it won't go bad. And that's it for the peeling of the shrimp. And right now I'm deveining the shrimp here. Now how you devein? You just take the shrimp and you just carefully cut out the back of the shrimp with a sharp knife and just pull the black string out. Now sometimes they might have other things inside of there that you could remove, but that's all they have. From there you could just place it into another bowl. Okay, next I'm going to take my shrimp tails, and from there I'm just going to take a knife and cut them in half and place them into this medium-sized bowl here. Alright, I placed my shrimp tails into this mesh strainer, and I'm going to rinse the shrimp tails off with cold water. Alright, all 6 pounds of shrimp knocked out and out the way. So I'm going to just cover this and place this into my freezer for about 1 or 2 hours and then place it in my refrigerator until it's ready to be cooked. Now here's our diced ham. Now in New Orleans we call this ham seasoning. So these chunks are a little bit too big, so I'm going to just take my knife and cut them down into quarter pieces. Like that. I'm going to add this into my cornbread dressing. Now the ham is already fully cooked, so I don't have to worry about, I could just add it into my dressing last before I bake it, I guess. And from there, I'm just take the cubed ham and place it in a small bowl. And from there, I'm just going to place this into the refrigerator until it's ready to be cooked. All right, here I have 2.5 pounds of chicken thighs, and I've added them into this mesh strainer. Now the chicken thighs are going to be used for my regular cornbread dressing. And from there, I'm going to rinse the chicken thighs off with cold water. Now I like to do this step to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the chicken thighs. All right, here I have a chicken piece here. And as you can see, they have all this excessive skin and fat. Just take a knife, trim that off. Make sure you get on the back and inspect the chicken. Make sure it's trim off as much fat as you possibly can. That looks pretty good. Okay, I've transferred my chicken thighs into this large Tupperware. Of course, I've rinsed them and trimmed off the excess fat. Now, as far as seasoning go, I'm just going to add a certain amount. I'm just going to add about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic. I'm just going to take my hands and coat the seasonings onto the chicken thighs. Alright. Okay, here I have my chicken gizzards for my cornbread dressing. And this is 1 1/2 pounds of them. And I've added it into a strainer. And I'm going to rinse the chicken gizzards off with cold water. Okay, and next you just take your chicken gizzards, just have a good look at them, make sure that everything is good. Now I want to show you here. Now it's not really in this batch, but sometimes on this part of the chicken gizzard, there's like this yellowish like skin on the top of it. You just take your hand, you just take your fingers and you just gently pull that off, okay? Now I've inspected all these chicken gizzards and it's not on here. I couldn't find it on this batch here, so all is good. Okay, next you're going to take each chicken gizzard and cut it in half. Alright, I placed my chicken gizzards into this small bowl. And from here, I'm just going to cover this and place this into my refrigerator until we're ready to make the stock. Okay, let's begin the chicken stock. So in this large saucepan, I'm just going to spread a little bit of butter in there. This is salted butter. Just spread a little bit of that around like that. Next, I'm going to add the chicken thighs. I'm going to let these sear for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Alright, it's been about 6 to 8 minutes total searing time. Now as you can see, most of the chicken and the fat and everything is kind of stuck to the all that brown that's in the saucepan, at the bottom of the saucepan. Don't worry about that, that's going to come off in just a second. I just want to flip it over just to show you how it looks and everything. Alright, next I'm going to add 1 1/2 quart of water. And next I'm going to just add a little bit more seasoning. I'm going to just lightly sprinkle about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, have a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 4 bay leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4. From there I'm going to stir all the ingredients together. Now we're going to let this cook down a little bit. First we're going to let it cook until the chicken is done, so that's going to be about a good 25 minutes. And then from there we remove the chicken and then cover it again and let it simmer a little bit more without the chicken being in there, so that way it could be nice and concentrated. I'm going to cover this and I'm going to let this simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes, and at that mark we'll remove the chicken. And while that's going, we're going to go ahead and get started with our shrimp stock in this pot here. So in this large 8-quart pot, I've added 3 quarts of water. And to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic, and a 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. From there, I'm just going to give this a quick stir. From there, I'm going to add my shrimp heads and shells. Going to stir all the ingredients together. My stirring is a little off because I'm using my left hand here, but I'm making it work. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to just let this cook down. It should take about 45 minutes to an hour. But once it's finished, I'll let y'all know the full simmering time once it's done. Alright, we're at the 20-minute mark for our chicken stock. At this point, we're just going to take the chicken thighs and we're just going to remove them out the liquid and place them onto this serving plate. And the reason why we're doing this is because we don't want the chicken to overcook. Because when the chicken overcooks, it turns into shredded chicken, and we don't want that. I'm going to just take a wooden spatula and glide the spatula along the bottom of the saucepan. That's going to help get those other pieces up. Just slide a spoon to get them out of there. Transport them onto the surface. Now I'm going to cover this. Now let this cook down a little bit more. About an additional 25 minutes will do. And the rest of our chicken pieces, we're just going to let this cool off for about 20 to 25 minutes. Alright, it's been about 25 minutes now. And our homemade chicken stock that we made from our chicken thighs is done. Go ahead and take just a little taste of this. Oh, that chicken flavor is outstanding. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, next I'm going to pour the chicken stock into this mesh strainer with a medium-sized bowl underneath it. And whatever contents that they have left over in the mesh strainer, you can discard that. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Homemade chicken stock from scratch. Now I want to let you all know that as you can see there's some oil floating at the surface. That's the chicken fat and some of the fat from the butter. Don't worry about that. We'll just add that into the dressing, and we're also going to add a little bit of it into the green beans too. So then we're going to place it into the refrigerator. So once we place it in the refrigerator, the fat is going to get firm and we could just remove the fat from there. So I'm going to just let this cool off and let this cool completely, then place it into my refrigerator because I'm not making my stuffings today. Okay, now that our chicken thighs have cooled, we're just going to take the fat and remove that first. Remove all the fat. Take the bay leaves out of there too. And from there you can just take your hands and just break the meat up into small to medium-sized pieces and remove them off the bone. Remove the meat off the bone. Alright, now that we have our chicken pieces nice and broken up, we're going to place it into this small airtight container here. Well, this medium-sized airtight container. Let's place it in there. And from there, we can just cover it and place it into the refrigerator. And then from there, when we're ready to make our dressing, we'll just add it in there and go from there. Alright, here we have our chicken pieces, and here we have our homemade chicken stock, which we made with the chicken thighs, of course. And I'm going to just cover this because it's already cool. And from there, I'm just going to place it into my refrigerator until it's ready to be added into the dressing. Okay, our shrimp stock is done. I let this simmer for 1 hour. As you can see, it cooked down some. It's going to be nice and concentrated. And from there, I'm going to pour the shrimp stock into this mesh strainer with a large bowl underneath it. Sorry about that, y'all. That's really hot. And from there, we're just going to pull the mesh strainer out of the bowl and just give it a quick shake to help some of those juices drain. And from there, we can discard these shrimp heads and shells. And there we have it, homemade shrimp stock from scratch. It's really hot. Alright, let's get started with our overnight chicken stock. We're going to use our chicken gizzards to make a chicken broth, and we're going to add it into this slow cooker here. So, I'm going to add 4 cups of water. Add a little bit of seasoning. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, a 1/2 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, 1/4 teaspoon of granulated onion, 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic. I'm gonna add some of our fresh parsley that we chopped. So I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of that in there. 4 bay leaves, and lastly the chicken gizzards. Oops, I know I forgot about something. I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme in there as well. I don't know how I forgot about that. Going to give this a quick stir. Now you can get the best possible stock with your gizzards in your slow cooker. So that's why I'm using slow cooker for this recipe. It's about 9 o'clock at night right now, so I'm going to cover this. And I'm going to let this slow cook overnight in my slow cooker on high. So by the time 8 o'clock the next morning come up, this will be done. Alright, y'all, that is it for preparation day 2. So I know you might can see it in my face, but I am a little tired. But I got mostly all the preparation done. I chopped up all the meat, the seasonings, I made the stocks. I actually have my chicken stock in the slow cooker right now, so that's going to be finished tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, tomorrow is going to be the 3rd day of preparation. So I'm mostly working with the batters, like the cornbread batter, the batters for the pies, like the sweet potato, do the macaroni, cook the rice. I got to stuff the roast with garlic, and I'm going to put that in the slow cooker tomorrow. So yeah, so it's going to be quite a few things I have to do. And I think tomorrow will be the final day of preparation. And then Sunday, I'll start to cook and bake everything. So yeah. And hopefully I'll be finished by Tuesday. Have my fingers crossed. Yeah, so I'm not really cooking that much. I think this year I have about 15 items. So yeah. But anyways, that is it for today. Time to go get some sleep, and I've been at this since this morning, and it's 9 o'clock right now, so all day. So anyways, I will see you all tomorrow. Alright, y'all, it's the next day. We let this slow cook in our slow cook overnight, and our chicken stock is done. I'm gonna just give this a quick stir. I'm gonna let this cool off for a few minutes before I strain it. Okay, next I'm gonna add my chicken stock along with my chicken gizzards into this mesh strainer. with a medium-sized bowl underneath it. Okay, and next you can take the bay leaves out of there. Okay, I placed my homemade chicken stock into this airtight container and my cooked chicken gizzards into this medium-sized bowl. And for now, I'm just going to place this into my refrigerator until it's ready to be cooked. I might cook it tomorrow, which is Sunday, of course. Good morning, everybody. Today is Saturday and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to get started with making the cornbread for the seafood cornbread dressing. And I have two separate bowls here. So now if you just want to follow the recipe as is, you just want to follow it just for one instead of two, okay? So in these two bowls, I'm going to add 2 cups of yellow cornmeal, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Stir all your ingredients together. And for our wet ingredients here, I have 2 separate medium-sized bowls here. Same procedure. If you're just following one recipe, you just add it into one bowl and that's it. Okay, next I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk into each bowl. 1 cup of whole milk. Make sure the buttermilk and the whole milk is at room temperature. 3 large eggs at room temperature. And 1 stick of melted salted butter. I'm going to take my whisk and stir all the ingredients together. And from there, I'm just going to take the wet ingredients and add it into the dry ingredients. I'm going to stir all the ingredients together. Just stir it until it's combined. Don't worry if it's lumpy. Alright, here I have 2 10 by 13 inch deep dish glass pans. And to that I'm going to add some melted butter. I'm going to add about a tablespoon each of the melted butter into the glass pans. I'm going to just take my hand and just spread that around. Try not to get it on the top, just focus on the sides, the bottom and the sides, and that's it. And from there, I'm going to add my prepared cornbread batter. And from there, I'm going to shake the glass pans to make the batter more even. And I'm going to let these sit here for about 5 minutes before we put them in the oven. I'm going to place this into a preheated 375-degree oven. I'm going to place them on the bottom and on the middle rack and bake them for 1 hour. Alright, and this is how our cornbread looks after baking 1 hour in the oven. Now I did switch the racks. I did switch the cornbread. This was at the top and this one was at the bottom, so I switched it by the time the 30-minute mark came up. Now I'm going to remove these out of the oven. And from there, we're just going to let these cool completely. Alright, let's get started making my cornbread dressing. It's the same as the other 2 that I made. So in this large bowl, I'm going to add 2 cups of yellow cornmeal, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And just stir all the ingredients together. And for the wet ingredients, I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk at room temperature. Now this is the fat-free version that I'm using here. And to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of whole milk. This is a 1% fat-free milk that I'm using. 3 large eggs at room temperature. and 1 stick of salted butter melted. Now I'm going to take my whisk and just stir all the ingredients together. And from there I'm going to take the wet ingredients and add it into the dry ingredients. Just take my spoon and stir all the ingredients together. And there we have it. Our cornbread batter for our third pan of dressing is ready. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of softened salted butter into this glass pan. And from now I'm going to just take my hand and just spread that around the glass pan. I'm going to pour the prepared cornbread batter into the baking pan. I'm going to shake my baking pan to make the batter even. And after that, it is ready to be baked. I'm going to place this into a preheated 375-degree oven on the middle rack. And I'm going to bake this for 45 minutes. Alright, the cornbread is done. I let it bake for about 45 minutes on 375. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. And from there I'm going to let this cool completely. Okay, next I'm going to take the cornbread that I baked earlier and I'm just going to crumble it into this large bowl here. Alright, now for this next tip here, it's very important that whenever you're doing your Thanksgiving dinner, you want to make sure that you wash your dishes as you go. Because if you don't, the dishes are going to be backed up and you're not going to be able to do anything else. And not only that, I think it's very important that even before you start cooking or anything like that, you want to make sure that you run your dishwater and have that ready before you do anything, so that way you'll be prepared. If you just, like right now, I just got finished from making the cornbread and stuff, and now I'm just washing all the utensils and stuff for that, so that way you can start on the next dish. And then also, if you clean as you go, when you're finished from cooking and baking, you'll also be finished cleaning too, just about. You won't have that, if you do have any dirty dishes left over, you won't have that much to clean. So it saves time as well. Now here's another quick tip for you. Now if you're not using gloves during preparation or even during cooking, you want to keep you some antibacterial hand soap on hand. And every chance you get, every time you cut something up, you wash your dishes and then you wash your hands. Now you have to wash your hands very frequently, every chance you get. You finish chopping up meat, you wash your dishes and then you wash your hands, and you can proceed to the next step. And that way you won't do any kind of cross-contamination. You'll be all set. And there you go, all clean. Okay, now we've begun to boil our sweet potatoes for our sweet potato pies. I'm boiling 9 sweet potatoes, so that's the first half in there, and it's the second half in here. Now I also baked my sweet potatoes as well, but I've been using my oven a lot today, so I'm boiling them. I'm going to boil these for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Alright, it's been about 1 hour and 20 minutes now. Let's check on our sweet potatoes. Let's take, yeah, they're done. Yep. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and now that my sweet potatoes have cooled, I'm going to take a butter knife and I'm going to peel the sweet potatoes. Now it should be fairly easy to peel. And there we go. Okay, next I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just going to mash the sweet potatoes. Next I'm going to take a hand mixer and I'm going to mix this for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. I'm going to remove the mixer out of the sweet potatoes while it's mixing. And as you can see here, there's some strings from the sweet potatoes that's attached to the blades of the mix. I'm going to rinse those off. Next, I'm going to scrape down the sides of my bowl. And I'm going to repeat this step about 5 additional times, or until the blades of the mixer no longer have the strings of the sweet potatoes on them, like how you see here. All right, y'all, now I'm getting started with my macaroni for my macaroni and cheese. I'm just gonna let this simmer for a couple of minutes until it's done. It's almost there. I'm only doing about one pound for myself. And over here, this is the other pot over here. It's a little bit slower, but to get simmering, but it's getting there. And this is 1 1/2 pounds. Yeah. Just let that simmer until it's done and go from there. Okay, next I'm gonna add this into a strainer. This is the first pot here, and I'm just gonna let that cool off. I'm going to add the second pot and just add that into the strainer, and from there I'm gonna let that cool off. Now I'm going to go ahead and shred a couple blocks of the sharp cheddar cheese. I'm only using one type of cheese this year, y'all. That's it. Just want to keep it simple. Preparing our sweet potatoes. So as you can see here, these sweet potatoes are narrow, and these are the best sweet potatoes to use to make the candied yams. Next, I'm going to take a potato peel and I'm going to peel these sweet potatoes. And they're also very easy to peel. Like, it's just so simple, you know. There's no grooves or anything like that. You could just go doop doop doop, and that's it. Okay, first I'm going to start by cutting the ends off first. And from there we're going to cut them into thick slices. Like that. Alright, now I've placed my sweet potatoes into this water. I didn't put no vinegar or anything in there. It's just sweet potatoes and water. And I'm just going to cover this. I'm going to make the candied yams tomorrow, so I'm going to just let them sit in this water overnight. I'm going to place it in my refrigerator and let it sit in the water overnight. Okay, I'm about to get started with preparing my beef roast. So I've added it into the strainer, and I'm going to rinse it off with cold water. Alright, everybody. Now what I'm doing here is I'm poking holes into the roast using a knife. I like to add lots of garlic into my roast. And remember, garlic slices. I'm just going to take the garlic cloves and just add it into the roast. Stuff the whole thing with garlic. Just add garlic everywhere. And as for seasonings, we're just going to lightly sprinkle a little salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, and a little dried thyme. Same thing for the other side. Light sprinkle of salt, light sprinkle of black pepper, light sprinkle of Tony Chachere's, light sprinkle of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, and a light sprinkle of dried thyme. I just add a little olive oil. Just rub that around there too. Flip it over. Put a little bit more in my hand. About a teaspoon each. Just add it on top like that. Okay, let's get started with searing our roast. So in this large saucepan, I preheated my fire to high heat. Now let this get hot for about 2 minutes. And from there, I'm going to add my roast into the saucepan. I'm going to let this sear for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Alright, it's been about 6 to 8 minutes total searing time. Next, I'm going to take my roast and I'm going to place it onto this serving plate and just set this on the side. And I forgot to deglaze the saucepan, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, let's get started with our beef-based mixture. So in the small pot, I've added 4 cups of water, and I brought it up to a slight simmer. And I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the Better Than Bouillon beef base. Just add that in there. And just take my whisk and stir it until that beef base dissolves into the water. That's it, all done. Okay, let's begin with slow cooking our roast. So we're going to add our beef base right on in there that we just prepared. We're just going to pour that in there. Now as for our seasonings, we're just going to add a little bit. Just going to add some chopped yellow onion, some chopped celery, and some chopped green bell pepper. I'm going to give this a quick stir. Now we're not going to add any additional seasonings to this because the Better Than Bouillon beef base already have salt in it and we don't want to add additional salt to it. Add your beef roast right on in there. Whatever juices they got left on the plate, just add that in there too. All that ain't nothing but flavor. Don't get rid of that. And I'm going to cover this. Now I'm going to let this slow cook overnight. Alright y'all, and this is all of what we've done thus far. We're going to get started in the back right here. Here we have our 3 pans of crumbled cornbread. And over here to my right we have our meat and our seafood, our chicken gizzards, ham, and our chopped chicken and our shrimp. Crab meat is in the refrigerator, of course. And here we have our seasoning. We have our chopped onion, celery, bell pepper. We have the garlic, even the garlic slices, and the chopped parsley. Also have some green onion. And over here we have our 4 frozen pie shells ready to go. And right here we have our macaroni for our macaroni and cheese. Here we have our shredded cheddar cheese for our macaroni and cheese. We have the sweet potatoes in some water ready to go for our candied yams. We have our pureed sweet potatoes, which we're going to make 3 sweet potato pies with. Here we have all our stocks. We have our chicken and shrimp stock. Yep. And that is about it. Hope I didn't forget anything. Alright y'all, and that is it for today. Well, it's about to be tomorrow because it's 15 minutes to 12. Yeah, it's been a long day. Preparing everything, cleaning, cooking and cleaning, cooking and cleaning, preparing and cleaning. Oh my goodness. And plus on top of that, I only had 4 hours of sleep. So, not really tired or anything. I'm just, I'm alright. I'm good. You know. Took 3 days to prepare all those things. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And now that we finished the preparation part, now we can begin the cooking. So I'm excited, just about excited as you are. So anyways, tomorrow is cooking day. So I'm gonna go ahead and catch up on some sleep if I can. And I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and check on our roast because we've been letting this slow cook overnight. Oh yeah, that's nice and tender. It is done. And for now, I'm just going to let this cool for about 1 or 2 hours. And then afterwards, I'm going to remove it and take it and make a gravy with it and get this out the way. All right, we have our 2 pots here. We're going to start our dressing, our seafood dressing this morning. 2 of them. And then afterwards, we'll make the regular dressing and go from there. Now in both pots, I've added some melted butter, some chopped yellow onion, some chopped green onion, some chopped celery, and some chopped green bell pepper. Now I'm going to give this a quick stir. this one a quick stir. I'm gonna just let this saute for a few minutes. Okay, next I'm gonna add my pressed garlic, followed by the shrimp. And the blue crab puree, crab. I'm going to give this a quick stir. I'm gonna add some seasoning. I'm gonna sprinkle some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, Chef Paul Prudhomme's seafood magic, some dried thyme, and some dried sage. Same thing for this pot. Sprinkle some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, Chef Paul Prudhomme's seafood magic, some dried thyme, and a little bit of dried sage. Now I'm going to stir all the ingredients together. Give this a quick stir. Now I pretty much turned off my fire on my pot. I let it cook long enough, so you don't need to let it cook for too long. Now I'm going to add just a little bit more seasoning. I'm going to sprinkle some salt, a little bit more Tony Chachere's, a little bit more of the Chef Paul Prudhomme seafood magic, and some chopped parsley. Same thing for this side. A little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. Now I did put some black pepper in the last one, even though I forgot to. A little bit of Tony Chachere's, a little Chef Paul Prudhomme seafood magic, and some fresh parsley. That's it for the seasonings. Stir this. Now my fire is already off on my stove because we don't want to cook this for too long. Give this one a quick stir. Now I'm going to add half of the cornbread in here. That way it can soak up some of them juices. Same thing for this pot. We're going to use half of the pan of the cornbread, crumbled cornbread. We're just going to add that in there. Now I'm going to give this a quick stir. Same thing for this pot. Give it a quick stir. And we definitely need some more cornbread, that's for sure. And from there, we could just pour in the second half of the pan of the cornbread right on in there. Same thing for this one. Just add the second half of the pan of the cornbread in there. There we go. I'm going to give this a quick stir. Now I just want to let you know, see like this? So if you look at it, it's still moist crumbs. That's what you're looking for in the dressing. And this is before you add your shrimp stock in there. So that's a good sign. You did all right. Over here, same thing. Give it a quick stir. And as you can see, same thing here. Moist crumbs. Exactly what you're looking for. This is before you even add your shrimp stock in there. And lastly, we're going to add some shrimp stock, homemade shrimp stock from scratch. I'm going to just add half in here. A little bit more. Just add half shrimp stock in there. And from there, I'm going to just give it a quick stir. See how that little bit of shrimp stock is going to do. Sure you have a sturdy spoon when stirring the stirring dressing, because it can be very tough to stir after you add all the ingredients in there, especially cornbread. Okay, this is going to need, I like the consistency of this, but we need a little bit more shrimp stock. Right, just put some more shrimp stock in there. I'm gonna use another half of this here. Same thing over here, half. Now I'm going to give this a quick stir. Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh yeah, really good. When you stir it, it starts to come together. That's what you're looking for. There we go. All right, here we have our 2 baking pans. Let's add some salted butter in there. About a tablespoon of each in there. Just take my hand and just spread that around. Now the little pieces, the little specks you see in there, that's the cornbread. Add the dressing in there. Just spread it around. Sprinkle some breadcrumbs on top. This is Italian style breadcrumbs, of course. It's ready to go in the oven. I'm going to place this into a preheated 400-degree oven. I'm using the bottom and the middle rack. And I'm going to bake this for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Alright, it's been about 45 minutes to an hour now. And I'm going to go ahead and remove my seafood cornbread dressing out of the oven. All done. Okay, next I'm going to take some spatulas and I'm going to carefully remove the beef roast out of the crock pot. And from there, I'm going to transfer it onto a serving plate. Okay, here I have a fat separator here. I'm going to carefully pour the beef base mixture into the fat separator. Okay, next I'm going to take a spoon and I'm just going to carefully skim some of the fat from the top of the fat separator, and I'm going to just place it into this small measuring cup. And there we go. We're only going to use a small amount of this fat here. Okay, let's get started making our gravy for our roast. So we got to make a roux first. So I'm going to add 1/4 cup of fat. Now this is 2 tablespoons of the fat that I got from the roast and 2 tablespoons of canola oil. Or you could use vegetable oil as well. Just going to pour that in there. I'm going to let that get hot for 1 minute. And to that I'm going to add 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Give this a quick stir. And I'm going to continue to stir this until it reaches a brown color. Now at this stage, I'm going to turn my fire off. And while I turn my fire off, the mixture, as you can see, is still thick. So I'm going to continue to stir it. And as you continue to stir this, it will thin out as you stir it. And next I'm going to add my beef base mixture. I'm going to just pour it in there. Alright, that's good enough right there. Give this a quick stir. And next I'm just going to add just a little bit of seasoning. Just add a sprinkle of salt, light sprinkle of black pepper, light sprinkle of Tony sachet, just a little bit. light sprinkle of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Portrait Magic, and a light sprinkle of dried thyme. Gonna give this a quick stir. I'm going to cover this, and from now I'm going to let this simmer for a few minutes. Add your roast. I'm gonna cover this, and from now I'm gonna let this simmer for a few minutes. All right, it's been a few minutes now. Let's check on our roast. Let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, that looks good. Turn my fire off. I let this simmer for a total of 16 minutes, and the roast is done. I'm gonna just let this cool off, and that's it for the roast. All done. Okay, let's get started with making our regular cornbread dressing. So in this large pot, I've added butter, chopped yellow onion, chopped green onion, celery, and green bell pepper. And I'm just going to take my spoon and give this a quick stir. And I'm going to cover this. I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally. Okay, next I'm going to add my chicken pieces. And I'm just going to stir this. Let's add some seasoning. I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, Chef Paul Prudhomme's Portrait Magic, some dried thyme, and some dried sage. Give this another quick stir. Alright, seasoning round 2. 1 tablespoon of the pressed garlic. I'm going to just sprinkle again, just a little bit of salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, Chef Paul Prudhomme's Portrait Magic, dried thyme, dried sage, and some fresh parsley. And also while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and add my ham cubes in there as well. Stir all your ingredients together. At this time, I'm just going to turn my fire down some. I'm going to add the first half of the cornbread in there. I'm going to give this a quick stir. From there, I'm just going to add the second half in there. Just dump that all in there. And I'm going to give this a quick stir. As you can see, the dressing is starting to come together. That's exactly what we're looking for. At this time, I'm going to turn my fire off. Okay, next I'm going to add some of my chicken stock from my chicken gizzards. I'm going to just add a little bit of that in there. Just eyeballing it. And this is the other stock from the chicken thighs. Add a little bit of that in there too. I'm going to just stir all the ingredients together. I'm going to need to add a little bit more stock in there. This is some more stock from the chicken gizzards. Just a little bit. And a little bit more of the stock from the chicken thighs. Now I'm going to give it a stir. There we go, that looks wonderful. It's all come together now, as you can see. Bake this in the oven. And my fire is turned off, by the way. Okay, next I'm going to add a little salted butter in this glass pan here. And it's at room temperature, of course, it's softened. So I'll just spread that around the bottom and the sides. Add the dressing. Just spread this around. Sprinkle some breadcrumbs on top. It's ready to go in the oven. And there we go, our cornbread dressing is done. I'm going to let this cool completely. Now y'all, I'm just now realizing this after I done made the dressing. Look at this. I done forgot to add the gizzards in my dressing. I done made my dressing and put it together and everything. Oh my goodness, wow. But that's all, it's all good though. Okay, let's get started with making our candied yams. And this is my original recipe I did a while back. So first we're gonna start by adding 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter into this large pot. Just spread that around. And let the butter melt. Okay, next I'm going to add 4 cups of water, a half a cup of light corn syrup, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of spice, allspice that is. Take my whisk and stir all the ingredients together. I'm going to let this come up to a simmer. Add your sweet potato pieces. Stir all your ingredients together. Now I just want to let y'all know that the cooking times vary depending on the pot and your stove setting. It normally takes about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to cover this. I'm going to let this simmer for 45 minutes. Don't stir it or anything like that at any point during the cooking process. Just let it cook down. Alright, it's been about 45 minutes now. Let's check on our yams. Sorry about that, y'all. And for now, I'm going to just let this cool completely. And bam, there you go. Yams are done. Alright, now while that's gone, let's get started with our cheese sauce for our macaroni and cheese. So in this medium-sized pot, I just want to let y'all know this is just experimental. I'm just going with the flow here. I'm just doing what I got to do. So I'm going to start with adding a stick of butter. And I'm going to let that melt. Alright, I've turned my fire down. So I'm going to just add 1 can of evaporated milk. Dump that all in there. And a carton of heavy whipping cream. As far as seasonings goes, some salt, black pepper, and a little Tony sachet. Just give this a quick stir. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to add a little bit of granulated onion and a little bit of granulated garlic. And just give this a quick stir. I'm going to just let this heat up until it's warm. Okay, next I'm going to add my shredded cheese. Lots of shredded cheese. And I'm going to just give this a quick stir. And I'm going to continue to stir this until that cheese melts. It's a lot of cheese I added in here, so. And there we go. Our cheese sauce is ready. You can see that's nice and thick. Alright, y'all. I went on here and made a second batch. Cheese still not all the way melted, though. Yeah, I think I made too much cheese sauce here. So. The other batch is over here getting cold. I'm gonna just turn the fire off on here, and there we go. Alright, y'all, I poured all the cheese sauce, both of them, into this large pot here. I'm try to see if I could get this done with just 1 pot. Just dump the first amount of the macaroni in there first. Oop, that was a mess. Just give this a stir. It's not all of it. The cheese might seize, so it might thicken, I meant to say. Because the macaroni is a little cold. I did try to bring it to room temperature for a bit. Alright, Here's the other thing of macaroni. Well, that one made it in there, all right. Okay, now we're gonna stir this in. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I should have did it a little bit at a time, but I'm gonna get it right. Oh my goodness, this is a lot. Hold on. There we go. All right, get at the bottom and what's the top. Make sure all the macaroni is coated with the cheese sauce. Just look at it. Make sure you have a strong arm doing this. Oh my goodness. I don't think I ever made this much macaroni before. All right, now here I have two baking pans. I have a foil pan, and this one is my baking pan, the glass pan. I'm gonna add some softened salted butter into both pans. Just take my hand and just spread the butter around the baking pan. This one over here. And from there, I'm going to add the macaroni. Spread that around. And in this pan, spread that around. And from there, they are ready to go in the oven. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and place these into a preheated 425-degree oven. I'm just placing them on different racks here. And from there, I'm going to just bake this for about 45 minutes. And after 45 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and remove these out of the oven. All right, y'all, and that's it for the day. Well, I decided to go ahead and stop after I make the macaroni and cheese, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, wait, hold up. I'm still thinking in my head that I got to do 30 or 40 items this year, and I'm really not making that much. So I'm like, oh, it's still just in my head that I got to do a lot of stuff, and I really don't, you know. But now that I have mostly all of the difficult dishes out the way, the only thing I got to do is do all the easy work now. So I'm gonna just take the rest of the day off to myself, and I still got another chore I gotta do, so I gotta take care of that. So that's gonna be another 3 hours, so might as well. And I thought to myself, I said, why am I trying to get all this finished in one day? I mean, it didn't make no sense. So I told myself, I said, you know what, I'm gonna just work on everything tomorrow. I'm gonna just catch up on some sleep or whatever, get up tomorrow morning and start on the pies. I gotta do the 4 pies tomorrow. The green peas, the green bean, that's easy to do. And marinate the turkey, I gotta start on that. That's gonna be tomorrow too. And I'm gonna do the turkey and the dinner roast. That's always the last thing I do. And I'm gonna do that on Tuesday. So I'm on schedule. I'm so excited. Yeah. So anyways, I don't wanna hold y'all too long. So finish the day. And from there, I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Today is Monday, so let's get started with these pies and get this over with. So we're gonna make the 2 sweet potato pies first, and then we're gonna make the another sweet potato pie and a pecan pie. So in these two, we have a medium-sized bowl and we have a large bowl. I've added the pureed sweet potatoes, and the weight of it is 1 pound and 14 ounces total. Okay. And to that, I'm gonna add 2 large eggs at room temperature, and 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. I'm going to take my whisk and stir all the ingredients together. Okay, next I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of sugar and 1 cup of evaporated milk. Make sure that the evaporated milk is at room temperature. Now I'm going to give this a quick stir. Stir it very carefully. Then you increase speed as you go. And let's mix this one. Stir it very gently at first, and then increase speed. Next, add 1 heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. That means you could fill it past the top. 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice. Now for my spice lovers, if you like a lot of spice in your pie, you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. Okay. Now you want to be careful with the spices, because if you add too much, it's going to completely overwhelm all the ingredients in your pie, and it's going to taste like just pure spice, and you don't want that. You just want the right amount. Next, I'm going to add 2 to 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Stir all your ingredients together. Now let's mix this one. And our sweet potato pie batter is all ready. Okay, here we have our 2 pie crusts frozen and ready to go. This one is in the glass pan, and the other one is in one of those fall pans. And next I'm going to carefully add the sweet potato pie batter into each frozen pie shell. I'm going to just shake both pans just slightly to make the batter even. And after that, they're ready to be put in the oven. I'm going to place this into a preheated 350-degree oven. And of course, I'm using both oven racks. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour. All right, here we go. Our sweet potato pies are done. Now let's go ahead and remove these out of the oven. Now this is how to tell if your pie crust is done. Now if you tap the pie pan on the side, and around this part toward the edge, the filling should be firm. Okay, but in the center, if you tap it, as you can see, it's slightly jiggly. That lets you know that it's done. Okay, and this is how the bottom of my pie crust looks for my sweet potato pie. As you can see, that's a nice golden brown. That lets me know that the crust has been cooked thoroughly. Okay, let's get started with the preparation for our pecan pie and the sweet potato pie. So over here in this bowl here for our pecan pie, I've added 1 1/4 cups of the light corn syrup. And for the sweet potato, of course, that's 1 pound and 14 ounces in weight of the mashed sweet potatoes in there. Now let's add the eggs. So for the pecan pie, I'm adding 3 large eggs at room temperature. And for the sweet potato, I'm going to add 2 large eggs at room temperature. I'm going to take my whisk and stir all the ingredients together. Okay, next I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. Same thing for the sweet potato, 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. Now for the sugar, for the pecan pie, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of brown sugar. And for the sweet potato, I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of sugar. Stir all your ingredients together. All right, now let's finish adding the rest of the ingredients. So before we begin, as you can see, there's some white floating at the surface. That's the butter. See, if I stir that, you can see the liquid underneath. So the butter is less dense, so it's going to float directly at the surface. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, now I'm going to start with the ingredients for the pecan pie and then stir. Then I'm going to go to sweet potato and stir. Okay, so for the pecan pie, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of evaporated milk at room temperature, 2 to 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just give that a quick stir. Now for the sweet potato, ingredients might be a little bit more and slightly different. So I'm going to add 1 cup of evaporated milk at room temperature, 2 to 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1 heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, that means you can fill it up past the top, 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice. Now for the spice lovers, if you like a lot of spice in your pie, you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/4 teaspoon of allspice into the pie if you like a lot of spice. And lastly, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to stir the ingredients together. Oh, and I forgot to add the pecan, so I'm going to add 2 cups of the pecan halves in there. Take a spatula and just fold that into the batter. And from there, our batter for our pecan pie and sweet potato pie is ready. Okay, here we have our frozen pie shells for our sweet potato and pecan pie ready to go. Next, I'm going to add the pecan pie batter and the sweet potato pie batter into their respective pie shells. I'm going to shake both pans slightly to make the batter even. I'm going to wait up for about 1 to 2 minutes before I put it in the oven. I want to make sure the pecans rise to the top. Now they are ready to be baked. Next, I'm going to place this into a preheated 350-degree oven. And of course, I'm using both oven racks, of course. And I'm going to bake this for 1 hour and 5 minutes. All right, let's check out our pies. It's been about 1 hour and 5 minutes now. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. All right, now as far as the green beans go, I'm just going to inspect the green beans and see like they have this on here. I'm going to just remove that off. But other than that, I'm not going to really do too much to them. Next, I'm going to add some water into the bowl with the green beans in it. And I'm just going to take my hands and just rinse the green beans off. And afterwards, I'm going to drain the water out of the bowl. And from there, I'm going to set this on the side until it's ready to be cooked. All right, let's get started with making our green beans. So in this large 8-quart pot, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of salted butter in there. And just spread that around. And let the butter melt. All right, next I'm going to add some chopped yellow onions. Just a quick stir. I'm going to cover this. And I'm going to let this saute for about 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally. All right, y'all, the sauteing time has changed. I said 10 to 12 minutes, but it's not. I let it simmer for about 6 minutes. So cut that down a little bit. So remember our chicken stock from our chicken thighs that we made? Just pour that in there. Okay. Next, we're just going to add just a little light sprinkle of salt. A little light sprinkle of black pepper. And some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Vegetable Magic. Gotta have that in there. Just give this a quick stir. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna just pour the rest of the broth in there. That's all of it. Oh, and I forgot about this here. I forgot to add a little garlic, just a little bit. That's the pressed garlic. And just give that a quick stir. Now that is at a simmer, I'm gonna add my green beans. This is 2 pounds of fresh green beans I'm adding in here. Just stir that. Now I'm gonna cover this, and I'm gonna let this cook down. And once done, I'll let y'all know the cooking time and everything. All right, let's check on our green beans. They should be done. Oh yeah, that looks good. We let them cook down. Now the total cooking time is 19 minutes, but that's because I added cold green beans in here. So the cooking time might be a little bit less, maybe like 10-15 minutes total. But just the only way to really tell is you take a green bean and just have a taste of it, and if it's tender, it's done. Okay. And from there, the green beans are done. Just let that cool in the pot, and that's it. Okay, let's get started with the green peas, my favorite, of course. So in this medium-sized pot, I'm gonna add 3 cans of green peas, and of course, this is my favorite green peas right here. As you can see, it's 50% less sodium. Love it. Add the other one, and one more. To that, I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of sugar and 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Of salted butter, I meant to say. I'm so used to saying unsalted that I forget to say salted when I'm using salted butter. And also, I'm gonna add a little bit of chopped onion in there. And from there, I'm just going to let that come up to a simmer. Okay, now that this is at a simmer, we're just going to give this a stir. And green peas don't take long at all because they're already fully cooked. So we just let this simmer for about 5 to 6 minutes, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. So I'll be back in 5 to 6 minutes. All right, it's been about 5 to 6 minutes now for our green peas. Let's give this a quick stir. From there, you just let the peas cool in the pot. And from there, our green peas are done. Okay, let's get started with our onion and garlic marinade for our turkey. So in the small food processor, I'm gonna add some chopped yellow onion. That's good. Gonna add our pressed garlic, about a tablespoon of that in there. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of dried oregano, a half a teaspoon of dried basil, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, and some hickory liquid smoke. Add about a tablespoon of that in there. And I'm going to blend this until it's like a paste. Looks good. We blended that for about 1 minute. All right, and here's our turkey for this year. Now, this is a 9-pound turkey by Butterball, of course, the best. And I already rinsed the turkey off and trimmed off the excess fat. So I'm gonna just turn it this way. Hopefully y'all can see back here. Now, underneath here, there's an opening where you can stick your hand in, and I'm gonna show you how to do that in just a second. Got to lift the skin up and then just take your knife and just carve right there. And this is going to create an opening for you to stick your hand underneath the skin of the turkey breast. First, you could just start, and then you just stick your hand in there. So you can see here. So that way we can add some of the marinade inside of here. You want to be very gentle with this, don't rush it or anything like that. And the same thing on this side. All right, here we have some of our marinade right here. And I'm gonna just take some of the marinade and I'm gonna just stick it underneath here in the turkey breast, underneath the skin here. A little bit more going in there. Same thing on this side. I'm gonna add some in the cavity. Well, and by the way, I didn't tell y'all earlier that I removed the giblets and all that stuff that they had in there, the contents and all that. Add a little bit more in there. All right. All right, I've added a plastic bag in this large pot here. I just placed the plastic bag in there. I'm gonna just carefully add the turkey in the bag like that. And from there, I'm gonna just pour the onion and garlic marinade in there. And just get all toward the front the best way I can, just like that. pan juices, everything. Just pour it in there. And from there, you just remove the plastic bag from out the pot. Just place the chicken here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just try to massage that marinade into the turkey. All right, you can flip it back over. There we go. Now I'm going to tie this. I'm gonna add it back into this large pot, like that. I'm gonna just cover this. I'm just gonna place this into my refrigerator overnight until I'm ready to bake it. All right, y'all, and that's it for the day. Glad I got that over with. Only thing I gotta do now is tomorrow I gotta get up and do the turkey and the dinner rolls, and that's it. I am done. Yes. Yeah. So yes, it's great. I've been up the past couple of days just working hard and trying to get this done. And I can see I'm sweating a little bit, but that's all right. You know. Yeah, everything just went smoothly, and just happy to get it all done. Yes. Yeah. So I was thinking about for this year. Only thing I want to do is just keep everything simple. I didn't want to do nothing too major, do nothing too extra. I just wanted to keep everything as simple as possible. That's it. But yeah, so 2 more items and it's over. But anyways, that is it. I have to go rest myself and enjoy the rest of my evening. And see y'all tomorrow. The finale. All right, y'all. Today is the day. So I have my turkey in this roasting pan here, and I'm gonna put it on a rack in just a second. Just take some scissors and cut this off. And from there, I'm just gonna remove the turkey out of the bag. And voila, and there we have it. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna leave the turkey in this pan just like this. I'm not baking it on a rack this year. I just don't feel like it. Something just telling me not to. So now I'm gonna just tie the wings. Actually, I might leave the wings like that. I don't know. I'm gonna just tie this up using zip ties. Now I'm gonna take some aluminum foil and I'm just gonna cover the turkey breast. Just gonna cover it like that. I just want to prevent it from browning so much early on. I'm gonna take it off during the baking process. And then in addition to the seasonings and everything that we added, I'm gonna add just a little bit of water in here. Just a little bit. And from there into the oven it goes. Okay, it's been about an hour now. Let's go ahead and check on our turkey. Now I'm not going to remove the foil or anything off there during this time. Keep it on there for a little bit longer. And I'm just going to pour some water into, because most of the water evaporated earlier, so we're just going to add just a cup of water in there. And from there, we're going to place the turkey back into the oven. Bake for an additional 30 minutes, and then afterwards I might make a decision to remove the foil off. Okay, it's been about 1 hour and 30 minutes total baking time. Let's go ahead and check on our turkey. And this time I'm going to remove it out the oven. Okay, now I'm going to remove the aluminum foil off. I have some olive oil spray that I have here. And I'm going to just spray a little bit of this on there too. And from there, we're just going to put this back in the oven. I'm going to let this bake for 1 hour. Okay, it's been about 2.5 hours. Let's go ahead and remove our turkey from the oven. All right, I've inserted a thermometer into the thigh, and it's about 160, so needs a little bit more baking time. I'll just take some of the pan juices, and I'm just going to baste the turkey with it. To prevent it from browning even further, I'm just going to put a little aluminum foil on there like that. And back into the oven it goes. And from there, I'm going to let this bake for 1 hour. Okay, it's been 3.5 hours. Let's go ahead and remove the turkey out of the oven. All right, let me remove the aluminum foil off there. Now I'm going to insert a meat thermometer into the thigh of the turkey. Well, it's close to 180, so I'll just leave it like that. Just going to cut this off. After 3.5 hours of baking, our turkey is done. Okay, this is the last dish, the dinner rose. So, in our stand mixer bowl, now this is experimental here, I'm just go with the flow. Okay, so I'm gonna add 3½ cups of bread flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Give that a quick stir. Alright, so in our stand mixer fitted with the dough hook attachment, I'm going to add 1½ cups of warm water. Now the temperature of the water should be about 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and 6 tablespoons of melted salted butter. I'm going to mix this on a medium-low speed, or according to my stand mixer or your stand mixer's instructions on mixing those, for about 4 minutes. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, that sticks to mine. So with that being said, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of bread flour in there. Yeah. I'm going to mix this on a medium-low speed, or according to your stand mixer's instructions on mixing doughs, for about 1 to 2 minutes. Don't mix it too long. All right, let's see this time. Not too bad. But I'm going to go ahead and add 2 more tablespoons of flour in there, just a little bit more. So all together with the 2 tablespoons that we added the first and the second time, that's 1/4 cup of flour, bread flour. I'm going to mix this on a medium-low speed, or according to your stand mixer's instructions on mixing doughs, for about 1 to 2 minutes. Right. That's fine. Well, look at this. It doesn't stick to my hand now. Now that I let it sit in the bowl for a little bit, so I guess that's what I needed to do. I'm going to lightly flour the surface of my table. And from there, I'm going to add the dough on top of the table. Might stick a little bit, but don't worry about that. If it's sticky, it'll be a moist bread, so don't worry about that. Put some flour on my hands. There we go. See, look, now it's non-stick now. Nice and stretchy. All thing you gotta do is just bring it together with your hands, and that's all you gotta do. And if you need to add some more flour underneath there, do so. Okay. I'm gonna need this for about 1 minute. See how it's gonna come out. There we go. That looks pretty good. It's a little sticky, but that's all right. There we go. And I'm gonna let that rest for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, here I have a regular standard 9 by 13 inch baking pan. I'm gonna just take some butter and add that in there. That's softened salted butter that I'm adding in here. So I'm gonna take about a tablespoon of that and just spread that around the bottom and the sides of the baking pan. Okay, next I'm going to press this down. That's going to release the gases caused by the yeast. Dough is really nice and soft. Add some more flour underneath there. I'm going to cut this into 4 sections. Add a little bit more flour down there. All right, so we cut that in 2. Let's form these into a ball. And cut these in half. You have a little flour on hand like that. I'm going to take these and just form them into a ball again. So we're going to have 4 pieces per piece. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16. All right. Now we're going to take this and cut it into quarter pieces. We'll cut it into 4 pieces. 3 and 4, that's 1 right there on the side. And from there, all 16 pieces, 4, 8, 12, 16. Now, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take each piece and just form it into a ball. Remember, if you need to add more flour, do so if you need to. Don't add too much though. All right, now dinner rolls are nice and rolled out. And from there, we're just going to take our dinner rolls. And from there, you could just take your dough and place it into your baking pan. Now we have 5 here, 5 here, and 6 in the middle. And from there, I'm going to cover this with a towel. Now I'm going to let those rise. I'm going to let you know the rising time once it's finished. All right, and this is how our dough looks after we let it rise for about 25 minutes. Oh, wow, that rolls up pretty nicely. Now let's go ahead and put these in the oven. I'm going to place this into a preheated 375 degree oven on the middle rack. Bake this for 15 minutes. Okay, and this is our dinner rolls. We let them bake for about 15 minutes. Now let's remove them out of the oven. Okay, here I've melted about 3 tablespoons of salted butter and I have a pastry brush. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that salted butter and I'm going to generously brush it on top of the dinner rolls. And after that, the dinner rolls are ready to be served. All right, y'all. I finished cooking everything. I cooked 15 items total. Feeling great right now. Not feeling tired or anything. Wonderful. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm done. I think this is the earliest I ever finished Thanksgiving because in the past it was always on Thanksgiving Day or the day before. But this time, like only 2 days before Thanksgiving. So I finished real early. I am so happy. And I'm very grateful that I had an opportunity to be able to cook some of this food for y'all and give y'all some of the instructions and tips in between, you know what I'm saying? So it's great. Yeah. But now, since I have everything done, even though today's not Thanksgiving, I might go ahead and sneak me a little plate or two. Because I mean, I've just been, working hard these past couple of days, recording, preparing, recording, preparing. So, hey, what's wrong with that, Don't tell nobody though. But yeah, I'm just happy that I just able to get everything done and out the way. And I just want to reach out to everyone that has watched this video. I want to thank you all so very much, even if you watched it for a few minutes and if you watched the entire video. I'm saying, I worked hard and everything on it, but I appreciate you all for even just watching it. I'm saying, we want to watch a 1 to 2 hour video, I'm saying. So I'm just very grateful and thankful for that. I also hope y'all learned something from it. I know I did, especially when I left the chicken gizzards out the dressing. What's wrong with me? So I mean, it happens. I ain't gonna sit up here and beat myself up over it or anything like that. So yeah. Here is the food presentation. Now we're gonna start with the desserts first. Here we have a homemade sweet potato pie from scratch. Here we have a homemade pecan pie from scratch. We have 2 more deliciously made sweet potato pies from scratch. Here we have our green beans, baked macaroni and cheese, our sweet peas, seafood cornbread dressing. This is a regular chicken cornbread dressing, followed by the homemade beef roast. Here's another pan of some homemade macaroni and cheese. And here is the gorgeous dinner rolls. Look at that. Soft and delicious. Oh yeah. And over here we have the candied yams. No Bruce's yams now. Candied yams. And here's the other pan of seafood cornbread dressing. And for the finale, are you ready? Here is the Thanksgiving turkey. Yes, yes, yes. Look at it. Don't that look good? Yes, it does. Give y'all a little. Look at that. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Charlie's Thanksgiving preparation video. All made by a New Orleans native. And that is it for the food presentation. I hope y'all enjoyed that. It looked good, didn't it? I know, right? I'm joking. Anyways, if you like my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including most of the recipes you saw in the video. Only thing you got to do is go to www.charliecookandrews.com. And of course, I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie Cook Andrews. So until then, thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.